It's pretty safe to say that we're gonna have a difficult time exploring the entire ocean. Throughout all the years, studies show the world has only seen about 20% of our ocean. We're straight up in the dark when it comes to what really lies down in the ocean. I mean, there are tens of thousands of feet of water to explore after all. But wait till you get a hold of what we were able to come across. The waters are home to so many unique creatures that you won't be able to help from doing a double take. Check out 10 scary sea creatures that lie deep in the ocean. Sarcastic fringehead. We know what you're thinking, and we hate to break it to you, but this fish isn't a jokester.
You're funny, right? Hey, tell us a joke.
Yeah.
While the word sarcastic usually refers to one's humor, in this case, the word sarcasm would be coming from the Greek term sarkasmos, which in other words means to bite or tear, which this fish happens to do its fair share of that. The fringehead does so with its many sharp and pointy teeth. They aren't the largest fishes, averaging around 4 to 8 inches, but can grow up to 1 foot. And explorers usually catch these guys hiding out in the depths of the Pacific Ocean. But we'd think twice before ever looking for one of the fringeheads. They typically find things to hide in like bottles, cans, shells, and other muddy areas. But while hiding out may seem cowardly, these guys are not scared by any means and will attack just about anything or anyone that it feels threatened by. Before attacking, it will try to intimidate its foe by opening its mouth, which makes them appear much larger than their normal size. Best keep your distance. The Dumbo Octopus. I'm sure you can see right away why it's called the Dumbo Octopus. It definitely looks like this cute little guy has a pair of ears that he uses to maneuver around just like Dumbo. But truth is, these are actually fins. A little compare and contrast, they are used to navigate, but not to hear. But its cute fins on its head were enough to earn it its name. They're generally smaller than most octopi, averaging a size of 8 to 12 inches and weighing about 13 pounds. They also belong to a group called the umbrella octopus. There's slim chances that you'll run into one of these on your tropical trip, due to most of them living around 9,000 and some as far down as 23,000 feet below sea level, which can be good and not so good. Due to them being so deep in the waters, there are fortunately less predators to hunt the Dumbo octopus. But this also means there is less prey for the octopus to hunt. The octopus usually preys on small crustaceans and sea insects when it finds the chance to. They've adapted well to the deep sea ocean life, and their ear-like fins are quite helpful when it comes to navigating the waters. Ghost sharks. The ghost sharks, or also known as chimeras, were discovered years ago in many different oceans across the world. They have been sighted in many different levels of water, from the shallower areas as deep as only a few thousand feet, to some being seen as low as 9,000 feet below sea level. While they're called sharks, they aren't sharks exactly, just closely related. They have many differences, as I'm sure you can see with their unique ghost-like look. But where they have their differences, they also have their similarities. Ghost sharks have similar lifespans of 30 years, and also use electroperception to hunt their prey, which is the ability to detect the electrical current of their prey. They typically hunt organisms such as crabs, mollusks, octopus, and sea urchins. Just like sharks, they also have many teeth that come in handy when it's time to find their next meal. Yikes! Red-lipped batfish. No, this fish is not wearing makeup. The red-lipped batfish are very unusual fishes that look like they're wearing bright red lipstick. If you don't think that's weird enough, wait until you take a look at the rest of the fish. When taking a glance at the red-lipped batfish, it sort of resembles a walking frog. Crazy as it sounds, sometimes you might catch this fish walking, and when it's in the mood to swim, it can actually retract its fins from below, which look like legs, and swim like normal. Although this fish has 2 modes of travel, as surprising as it may sound, its mobility is quite limited. So when it's time to hunt for food, the red lip resorts to an alternative tactic to go about catching dinner. They do so by luring in their prey with the dorsal fin on top of their head. They usually attract smaller fish and crustaceans with it, which means they don't really have to rely on their weird swimming style to feed themselves. The bobbit worm. Looking like something straight out of the last sci-fi movie you watched is the bobbit worm. You'll notice from the get-go is that it has a pretty rainbow-looking aura. But while its skin looks kinda pretty, it's also pretty dangerous. Scratch that. Very dangerous. These weaponized worms are usually spotted in the warmer oceans across the world. But if you actually manage to see one, you probably won't see much of one, as they're known to burrow in the ground and only leave their mouths exposed. You might as well call this a trip mine, because if prey happens to swim past it, it's lights out. As prey passes over the top of the bobbit worm, it lashes out at extreme speeds with razor-sharp jaws. It's said that once a prey is spotted, they have less than a second to get out of the way, or it's game over. These worms can grow up to 10 feet long, and it's safe to say that these are pretty much one of the fish's biggest nightmares. The barrel eye. Some people like to call this guy the spookfish due to its eerie ghost-like look. Its transparent head is what catches the eye of most. But what's really so interesting about the barrel eye are its eyes actually aren't where they appear to be. The two things that appear to be eyes in the front are actually what the barrel eye uses for smell, while the two green spheres inside of its transparent dome are actually its eyes. The barrel eye can rotate its eyes at any time and are well protected by the layer they're enclosed in. While its eyes are pretty cool, most of the time it allows its not eyes in the front to detect where most of its food comes from. The fish has been known of since the 1900s, but the Monterey Bay Institute was the first to come across a live barrel eye fish. The harp sponge. Speaking of the Monterey Bay, another thing that was discovered by them was the harp sponge. No tunes here though, just one of the most interesting organisms in the deep sea. Normally found 10,000 feet below sea level lies a stationary but appealing predator. Wait, predator? How in the world is this supposed to hunt down anything? Well, by doing nothing at all, actually. The harp sponge sits back and looks pretty, and lets its structure, called a vein, do all the work. As small crustaceans and small fish pass by, they tend to get caught in between their barbed antennas. From there, the harp covers its prey with a membrane and absorbs it. Who said you had to work to bring food to the table? If that isn't autopilot enough for you, the harp sponge also reproduces by doing absolutely nothing. At the tips of its branches, particles are taken away by the currents and are passed on to other nearby sponges. Then they attach themselves to the mate, and more harp sponges are born from there. When you're 10,000 feet below sea level, things tend to get really rough for the sea creatures. But the harp sponge makes this look like cake. The Atlantic wolffish. Looking like it's come straight out of the Stone Age is the Atlantic wolffish. Its many long teeth show even when its mouth is closed, giving it an aggressive look. If that isn't intimidating enough, they're much larger than your average fish and can weigh up to 40 pounds. They're typically gray, but some green and purple wolffish have also been spotted in the Atlantic. Whilst being big and strong, they can also endure insanely low temperatures, as low as 30 degrees Fahrenheit. The wolffish has an anti-freezing component that lies within their blood, which enables them to live in freezing cold waters. These powerhouse fish have quite the fitting name. The Christmas tree worm. Is it that time of year already? Well, regardless of what time of year it is, these marine worms are normally sighted in tropical coral reefs across the globe. While their appearance is already quite unique, They are seen in many different colors, but we're sure the question that comes up for most is what gives them that winter season look to begin with? The worms have crowns that are attached to its body, and on those crowns are extensions that resemble hair follicles, giving them the look of a pine tree. While Christmas trees are generally large, the Christmas tree worms are pretty tiny. But due to their bright colors, they're pretty darn hard to miss. While it's great that it puts on a great show for the underwater creatures, it's not so great that they're easily spotted by predators. When compromised, they retract back into the ground in attempts to hide from their hunters. I guess it can't always be the season under the sea after all. Wabeigong, the sneaky shark. These camouflage sharks usually average to be about 5 to 6 feet in length and are usually flattened. While most other creatures seen in this video are found in the deep waters, the wobeigongs are usually seen in the shallower areas of water. As sharks are typically known to chase their prey and hunt them down, the wabeigong does just the opposite. It tends to just lay low and keep quiet until the prey passes it by. It preys on many different sea creatures such as octopuses, crabs, lobsters, and sea bass. And once they swim close to their mouth, they lunge out. In rare cases, they might choose to do a little work by sneaking up on their prey. But most of the time, you can catch them just hanging out. Sea creatures never cease to amaze us, and the creatures shown in this video are a mere fraction of what actually lies below in the sea. But unfortunately, that's all we've got for you in this video. But fret not. Stay tuned and we'll be sure to revisit the waters and all the phenomenon that lie beneath it again.